Now, I want to talk about The Voice. It's losing a lot of support, as we know. The PM can't give details on how it'll work. The Voice's architects, people like Thomas Mayo and Tila Reid, are saying it'll be used to abolish Australia Day, tear down institutions, all sorts of things that the people who are voting no to it believe that that might actually happen. Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price made a point this week. She said Labor's plan to guarantee all Indigenous students a place in university if they qualify means that we don't need The Voice. Joining me now to discuss this is the Director of the Legal Rights Program at the Institute of Public Affairs, John Storey. John, great to see you. What do you make of Jacinta Price's comments in regard to the changes to tertiary education and Indigenous Australians?
Well, I think she's 100% right. Indigenous people already have a voice. It's called the Commonwealth Parliament. This is meant to be a voice to Parliament, a voice to the Commonwealth Government. And it's clear over decades that the Commonwealth Parliament is bending over backwards to try to help Indigenous people. It's the Commonwealth Parliament that passed native title law that has now seen 55% of Australian land handed over to Indigenous groups. It's John Howard is a Prime Minister who first suggested Indigenous recognition. The Commonwealth Parliament did the apology for the stolen generation. Now we've got, to double Indigenous participation in universities. The Parliament is doing everything it can, has done for decades to try to help Indigenous people, but the activists want to amend the Constitution to try to squeeze out a bit more.
On the campus question, we saw the US Supreme Court, I think, overturning affirmative action there. I guess that's possible here. If Labor had their way with this uni policy, I wonder whether there is somewhere where that could be overturned.
Well, these rules are very unfair, these new proposals. The United States is going away from affirmative action, whereas the Australian government is doubling down on it. Now look, if there's a poor Indigenous kid in a remote community, the ability to go to university could be life-changing, and no one wants to get in the way of that. But under the current arrangements, that person will get a government-funded position as it stands. What these rules will do is extend that to Indigenous people in the cities. So that means you're going to get the following. Two kids go to the same school, get the same marks, want to get into the same university course, and one of them has a bit of an Indigenous ancestry, but has suffered none of the disadvantage of living in a remote community, has a healthy, happy, prosperous family. That kid is going to get it easier. They're going to get a government-funded position. Australians can just smell the unfairness in that. It isn't a fair go to treat people differently.
Yeah, John, I think that's right. I think the polls are now starting to bear that out. I think average Australians are now starting to wake up to all of this. John Storey, thank you very much for joining us tonight.